breaking down the draft, and specifically the Bruins. They've got a brand new captain, Jordan Warren. And I'll be joined momentarily with my commentary partner, Carl Brewer, and we're going to discuss how we think the draft went. But first, we sat down with Jordan to talk about who he thought were the biggest steals. So let's cut to Anton and Jordan and see what Jordan had to say. Alrighty, thanks, Anton. I'm here with Jordan Warren, captain of the Bruins, new captain this season, and first time in with the draft. So just wanted to get an idea from yourself. You made a few trades, right, in order to mix up that protective list. What was important to you in that sixth that you got to protect?
So what I was looking at when I had it was, we had a lot of great guys in the Bruins. I wanted to have some real top-end talent. So I actually walked into the draft with last year's first overall pick, second overall pick, and fourth overall pick, all on my protected list. So I thought, okay, we're loaded up top end. Thought we might have to struggle with a little bit of depth. Didn't happen at all. The guys that we had ranked number 1 and number 2 for the entire draft, we got at 10 and 14.
All right, so a lot's been said about that. I know there's been a lot of chatter about one of your picks, just about the experience that they put in. I think you said he played a house league there in Canada. So tell me a little bit about that, and who was that pick?
All right, so we picked David Nelson at 14. I'm not going to take any blame here for the guy when he put on the sheet. He did play house league in Canada. When I heard about him, I said, you don't have to put the senior A stuff on there. I actually put the hours, put the miles in. I deserve David. I got some scouting reports from some guys in Canada, talked to some coaches, being strong, fast-game defenseman. I earned that pick, so I'm not going to take any heat. David's ours.
That sounds good. So lots of pressure there, David. We're looking forward to seeing you there. And I think you mentioned to me earlier as well, captain of your hometown club, right?
Yeah, I'm from West Carleton, small little village outside of Ottawa. They have a senior A team there, and David was the captain there. So I had a couple of contacts. Hey, who's this guy? Just showed up out of nowhere. Slid into those Instagram DMs with a few questions about Pro League, and here we are.
There we go. So bringing in that homecoming, that hometown feel, which is great. So I guess that answer, I think that's you think probably the biggest steal that you took in this draft.
Oh, I think every single pick that we took was a steal. Here, the names that were left on the board when it was our turn, it wasn't even fair. Unfair how good our team is.
You know, we're very blessed out here in Victoria. We've got some of the best ice hockey players all over this country, right? There's plenty of talent left on the list. Now, in terms of the style of play with some of your players, how do you want to see your team play?
So I went big and hard on D pretty early on. So we have some really big, hard-working defensemen. I think no one's going to really want to come over that blue line with their head down. And then our forwards, we really based it around having a high-scoring first line, a third line that, again, no one's going to want to play against, and then a second line that can kind of do it all.
And I know you got some great goaltending, so it should look good. So I know you've already said you're going undefeated. We've got, I think 3 teams so far thinking they're going undefeated, so it's going to be great. Out of all the teams drafted here, who do you think is going to give you the most trouble?
Oh, I actually don't think. The only thing that could get in our way is, if we just don't show up and we get in our heads, because really we're the best roster, no doubt.
Sounds good. All right, so you heard it here first. The Bruins are ready to be the big bad bruising team that we love to see. Thank you so much, Jordan. We can't wait to see you in January.
Thank you.
Cheers, Nate. Thanks, guys. So there you heard it. Jordan Warren, very confident about this Bruins team. They look very different than they did a season ago. I think the biggest thing for Jordan, as you heard from chatting with Liam as well, he was very active on the trade market. He brought in Matt Corona. He also brought in Mikey James. Apparently because he's too good looking for Liam's team there. But now they come into the season, right, coming into the draft on their protected list. They had last season's first overall pick, second overall pick, fourth overall pick. So that's some magic that Jordan was able to pull on the trade market, and none bigger than Mikey James, who I think made some of the most pretty saves of the season. You see him flying all over, stacking the pads, rolling around, windmill, great goaltender, and he's really going to buoy that position for the Bruins.
For me, the big part for them was the trade they made with picking up Matt Corona. Number 2 goal scorer, for the Dogs. Right, there's some serious offensive power. The other thing they've done with this team is they've just wiped the slate clean and pretty much started, not quite from scratch, but this is a new team. We look at teams like the Snipers and the Dogs, they've built on a solid core. Bruins is a new team. We don't know how well they're going to work together. It's a bit of a mystery. It could be magnificent. We'll wait and see, I guess, but certainly with that offensive prowess of Matt Corona, that's going to make them, they've got some real potency at least on one line.
Yeah, look, Jordan Warren, right? First time doing the draft, first time captain. But when you chatted to him, he seemed like he had a real strategy coming into this season. He said to us that he got his number 1 ranked player in the whole draft. He got his number 2 ranked player in the whole draft. And from a style, he was really trying to focus on building this big, hard D to play against. And that's someone like the young Evan Kruselev, right? You remember last season for the Inferno, this guy was hitting everyone. Not afraid to go into the corner, not afraid to go in and get an open ice hit.
And let's not forget, he's still just a kid.
Exactly. So it can only get better with some time. And they also picked up Nathan Keisha, who came over from the Snipers. He had a great season for the Snipers last season. That's going to help with that position. But for him, the biggest steal of the draft is his countryman David Nelson. Right. So David Nelson, he picked up with the 16th overall pick. And, there was some going back and forth over David. Everyone said he played house league in Canada, and I'm sure he played house league at one point, but he also played senior A and was captain for Jordan Warren's local team there in West Carleton, just outside of Ottawa. So this guy, you heard from Jordan, he did the hard work, he talked to coaches, he did all the heavy lifting to make sure that he could get this guy at pick 16. And we're really looking forward to seeing David get out on the ice here at iceHQ.
Well, again, it's a new team. Interesting players they've got here. They've got Seb Bergstrom, who's come up from Sweden, essentially, and he's a fascinating player. It'll be interesting to see how he copes with the pressure and the physicality. Although he did play for Melbourne Ice over the last AIHL season, so he's got that behind him. He's going to be an interesting player to watch as well. But for mine, the Bruins is really the mystery team here. You're right, they've made some good choices, but it remains to be seen how it's going to work together if they can combine well. I suspect they will, but they're a mystery team. They could go number 1 or number 4, and it's anyone's guess either.
For sure. I think we're looking forward to seeing them bringing back guys like Todd Cutter, Christian Fancino, great players for them last season. Todd Cutter as well with me, plays with an edge. He's smart. Plays those plays, those high percentage plays. He's not trying to do anything stupid with the puck, which is really, really great. And then some of the other guys that they've brought in, they've obviously brought in the Jacob Haley, Dylan Morris. You mentioned Serg. They brought in Seb. Sorry, they brought over Philip Bakasulis, who was playing with the Sniper for the Inferno last season, bringing into the team, which is quite nice. So they got a lot of that experience. And when you look at the ages on this team, they only have one player who's born after 2000. So a little bit more experience that they'll be looking to bring onto the ice.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I can't pick them. I don't know how this team's going to go. It'll be fascinating to watch, and I'm really looking forward to it.
For sure. And, lastly, this league, it's all about the development, the best here in Victoria. The last 2 picks that they took on the draft, fresh out of Beer League here at iceHQ, Raymond Khalil was really great. Played against him just the other night. Really hard to play against. He's easy to spot on the ice. He's got the beautiful T-blades out on his blades there. And they also picked up Trent Brown to back up Mikey James. But this team, obviously led by those 6 protected players: Warren, Corona, James, Josh Walt as well. And the Everpresses, these 2 young players who were great last season. Gavin Birchler and Jacob Laver. And really great to see.
Do you think Toddy Cutter was a bit of a steal in the draft as well? I'd be inclined to think that he probably was.
For sure. And if you talk to some of the fans that were here on draft day, that's what they couldn't believe. They couldn't believe that Todd Cutter, went where he did. Coming in on a draft there of pick number 22. Definitely a steal.
The interesting thing about that too was that Jordan Warren had actually traded away some of his earlier choices so that he could get Mac and Mikey James. And then he manages to pick up Troy Cutter as well. He's got to be pretty pleased with that. 4
teams. His first pick was number 10. And you look at the list, as he said, he got every single player that he wanted. And looking at the scouting report, he said, we're going to have a big, hard D. They were built to have a really high-scoring, high-talent first line, backed up by a second line that kind of can do it all, and then that third hard checking line in there. So these guys reckon they're going to be hard to play against. You heard it from Jordan. They're going all the way undefeated. It'll be interesting to see if they can do that, because they got a bit unlucky last season, right? Finishing 2nd overall in the standings. They lost that Snipers team that snuck into 3rd, and then we all know what happened with the rest. The Dogs won the trophy. So we'll only know if they'll go undefeated. They've got to win the first one. That's going to be in January, and we look forward to seeing all of you guys here at iceHQ when that happens.